Welcome to the Index Podcast. I'm your host, Nikki Scans. Today I'm joined by Yash, CEO at Sendai AI, a builder focused on bringing AI-powered tools to the Web3 ecosystem. Yash is working on making it easier for teams and creators to design, launch, and scale products using AI. Hey Yash, thanks for joining us. Really appreciate it, brother.
Yeah, thanks for having me, and yeah, excited for the podcast.
Yeah. I've been seeing you guys all over the timeline. There's a lot of magic fairy dust surrounding you guys right now. A lot of energy. Perfect time for go to market. Not only with Solana being a big name right now, but obviously anything in AI as well. Now, to jump right into it. Why do you get out of bed every morning all excited? Why have you chosen to build on Solana? Why have you chosen to build in AI? Why have you decided to do the crazy thing that is be a founder?
Yeah, I think so. My journey on Solana began in 2021, like when I was like one of the early members of Super Team. So from there on, I was like writing a lot about Solana ecosystem, and that's how like people came to know about me in the Solana ecosystem, and I also got to know everyone in the Solana ecosystem. So yeah, I was writing about RWS, DeFi, all sorts of things in the Solana ecosystem. But like fast forward to 2024, after doing like a lot of research across different ecosystem teams as well as working with Solana Foundation and so on. I decided that like I have to start something. And when we started Send, it was like kind of an accidental launch. We just like launched a token out of nowhere, and that's how like even the entire thing got started. And Sendai was born like last year in late December of 2024 when we were hosting Solana AI hackathon. And that time also we launched the Solana Agent Kit, which became like the number one toolkit for AI agents on Solana and also in all of crypto as well. So that's how like Sendai was born. And the entire thing like which keeps me excited every morning is that crypto is like kind of that everything in crypto is a code. So basically, like crypto makes everything financial instruments a code in itself. And once you make code generation very good using AI, the entire finance can be generated using AI itself, or basically like anything can be generated on the fly using AI. Just because like every financial instrument in crypto is a code. So I think like that's the most beautiful part about crypto, and that's what excites me as well. That crypto can be the money layer for AI, not just AI, but for everything. And AI is one way like we get crypto to the mass adoption because now you can orchestrate any financial instruments across anything and with real world assets coming on chain. Like I think like crypto becomes much more accessible using AI. And AI also loves crypto just because everything is code in crypto. So I think like that's what excites me every day, and yeah, just like working towards making that dream a reality.
This line of blockchain basically being the financial pipeline chosen that AI is going to choose has been coming up a lot over the last few months. And I've seen a couple lines that it's like crypto was actually never even meant for humans. It was actually meant for AI. Does that mean anything to you?
Yeah, I think definitely there's some weight to that line. I would say like if you see right now, like most of the crypto is very complex for a human, and the primary reason is not that like okay, like you have to connect wallet and do all the like random stuff. I would say like the primary thing here is that in crypto, like everything is code. And in finance, like a lot of things are reversible in nature. That like if you do a transaction by mistake, you can contact bank and like make it reversible as well. But in crypto, like a lot of things are irreversible, and that's a very bad UX for a human. But for an agent, it's a very good UX that you get all the finality and everything is like basically very deterministic in nature in crypto, which machines would love because if machines want a particular task to be done, like they
Mm-hmm.
would want some sort of deterministic there. So I think like definitely like crypto is meant for agents, and I would say like all the financial stuffs of crypto are very appealing for agents. Of course, like all the identity stuff or anything like which is not financial, I would say agents also won't love anything crypto for that. For example, using blockchain as a database would be a very bad idea for even for agents because those are like inefficient databases. But anything which has an economic value or a financial transaction, I think agents would definitely love blockchains, and they're already loving it. Like even in Mold book, every agent was asking about how do I pay to some other agent and so on. And crypto is like very good way to pay any other agent, because like you can just like send directly, like it's just an API call and you just send a 50 USDC to another wallet. So I think like once you give an agent an RPC access and a wallet, and then an ability of different tools across different protocols, or even like different in future, I think like they would be directly reading and writing to blockchain itself, then they would be able to do any sorts of actions possible. I think like that's what like a real agent would want, that they have unhinged access to the entire financial layer as well, not just the internet. So I think yeah, definitely agents would love blockchain.
Okay, yeah. So on that particular narrative, how do you see Send AI being involved in making that a reality?
Oh yeah, definitely. So I think like when we started Sendai back in 2024, during that time like AI meta was obviously at the peak in crypto. That everyone was saying that AI agents will use crypto, and I think like it's coming back again. But that time like it was like, I would say, peak speculation. Like any AI agent framework was pumping to $100 million, $1 billion, and so on. And that time like our entire thing was that if AI agents need crypto, they need a easy access to crypto. And if they specifically want to, like let's say, interact on Solana, there should be a very simple way for AI agents to interact on Solana. And that time, LLMs weren't good at tool calling. By tool calling, I mean that if they, let's say, want to do a particular transaction, they should be able to call a tool, and that does the transaction for them. But there was a framework called LangChain, which was very popular back then, and there were different frameworks coming in. So we thought that why not consolidate all the tools available on Solana, which involves like different protocols like Orca, Radium, Jupiter, Meteora, and all sorts of DeFi protocols. And if you combine everything with like let's say an access to a wallet, an AI agent would be able to take like a lot of actions in different protocols. So we created this AI agent toolkit called Solana Agent Kit, where it had like after 4 or 5 months, it had more than 50 plus protocol. It was completely open source. It got more than 150,000 npm downloads. So definitely there was a lot of developers who were experimenting along with that. And with that, like any agent got access to all the read and write access to different protocols on Solana. But it was completely an open source toolkit, and I would say that time it was pretty early. Like the LMs weren't very well at tool calling, so there was like a lot of hallucination happenings. So it wasn't very much production friendly, but a lot of people did experiment with that. So after that insight, what we went ahead was that okay, this thing works. And another key insight we got out of it was that if you combine all the tools, it's very easy to also create a super app for a user. So if you see like even like something like OpenClaw, which is like been a very common AI assistant for everyone right now, that also orchestrate all the tools. So AI is becoming very good at tool orchestration. So once you combine all the protocols in a particular toolkit or in a particular environment, you also get kind of a super app environment, just like how every a super app like WeChat or something like even like Robinhood is becoming, that you can do any type of financial actions using that. Similarly, you can also build that using AI, because AI is able to orchestrate all the tools and convert intents into actions. So with that guiding principles, we thought that why are we even like focusing on developers, because the developers are very low in number, but in crypto trading is something which already has a PMF, and we just like shifted our focus from developers to the trader audience, or traders, or any type of retail audience who wants to basically do any financial actions. So, and we use the same insights we gained from Solana Agent Kit at how do we aggregate all the tools across different Solana protocols into this. So, with that guiding insight, like we thought about that in future also, like we won't even need like lot of protocols, to be honest. Most of the protocols would be generated on the fly, and something like Camino can't be generated on the fly because it has some TVL in that, and there's some liquidity moat in Camino. But something like let's say which is a wrapper contract, or even something like an aggregator like Jupiter, that can be generated on the fly because it doesn't have a TVL or a liquidity mode. So our entire thesis became that if let's say financial instruments would be generative in the near future, how do we prepare for that? And the immediate solution is basically aggregating all the tools possible across different chains, across different protocols, and so on. And in future, like obviously, the next step would be how can we basically also ensure that AI is able to read and write directly to the blockchain. That is, it's able to
Mhm.
interact directly with contracts on Solana. So directly hit ideal and see like what's happening and so on. So that was how like we started thinking about building for the next phase. And of course, like Solana Agent Kit was really great as a toolkit, but of course, that was completely open source. We can't directly monetize it, and so we are still maintaining that as a public good. But I would say like what we are building right now is like a one step further out of Solana Agent Kit.
Okay, so great. And why specifically is Solana so good for enabling this agent to agent, commerce?
Yeah, I think one thing here is like a distinction here would be like commerce and trading. So for something like let's say first tackling on the commerce question, so I would say like on commerce, Solana is like really great from a perspective of ecosystem tooling. I would say like a lot of people would say that Solana is cheap, Solana has a great tech and so on, but I think like that doesn't matter. Like anyone can build that, and I would say some blockchains like Tempo, etc., might even like beat Solana on that. But the amount of ecosystem tooling that's around Solana, I think like that's really great for an AI agent because they get all the tooling out of the way and all the ecosystem network effects. For example, all the real world assets they would get, all the stable coins they would get directly on Solana itself. Then all the protocols like where they would be able to use these assets across different protocols and also like exchange these assets. So I would say all these ecosystem toolings which we have built for humans are also very useful for agents because they are able to exchange any assets and do any sorts of commerce across different merchants and so on. So I think like be it trading or commerce, AI just want that ecosystem network effects and tooling where they get all the liquidity. And I would say blockchains are generally a token launch platforms that the entire function of a blockchain is asset generation. And I think like Solana is great at asset generation because like there have been like meme coin asset generation, then there have been real world assets and so on, like stocks are being tokenized on Solana and so on. So I think like that creates a lot of good liquidity network effects, which make it very useful for AI agents that they would be able to access a wide range of assets. And whenever they are interacting with any sorts of merchants or even any other AI agents, they have the flexibility to use any sorts of assets they want or spin off any number of wallets they want and so on. So I think like Solana enables that beautifully for any AI agent.
Okay, yes. And then actually that brings it perfectly into the next question because it's like once so much of the, let's say half or even more than half of Solana transactions actually become agentic, right? It's agent to agent. That's going to unlock an entire new level of, it's machine speed, right? So now how much does like throughput, latency, and fees come in at that point?
Yeah, I think latency and throughput is definitely very important. I would say for something like X402. So X402 has been I would say 1 year old protocol now, like started back in May in 2025. And in that, like AI agents basically can pay in the same HTTP request, like in which they are let's say requesting a resource. So a simple logic would be like if let's say an AI agent wants to access any data or any sorts of services, they can pay directly on the fly using USDC. So that's the simple premise. And the entire thesis there is that AI agents would be able to do micro transactions of even let's say
Mhm.
$0.001 and so on. I would say that's not very feasible on Solana mainnet right now because the median fees has been like something from $0.001 to 0. Sometimes even like $0.05 and so on. So I would say microtransactions are still not very feasible on Solana. But the thing that Solana really enables is that the latency is like pretty fast as compared to any other chain right now. It's 400 milliseconds, and I would say that would be reduced after Alpenglow and other future upgrades to even 200 milliseconds and so on. So I think latency is like completely fine with Solana because at the end, like it's completely bound by physics. Like so, not that any chain can just come and offer a very huge latency as compared to Solana. But I would say on the fees level, there needs to be a different sort of mechanism, or maybe like some sorts of roll up sort of architecture. I would say like where you are able to transact much on much lower fees or some sorts of architecture which enables for AI agents to do even like a very small transactions. So I would say like that would make like it much more agentic friendly. But from a latency perspective, I think like Solana is pretty great already, and yeah, AI agents already would love Solana for what latency it has.
Do you see users basically giving their agents that are acting on their behalf full access to a wallet and private keys?
I think like you don't need even like to give access to any private keys. For example, in our current architecture, agent doesn't have access to your private key. So it just like it's focused on generating the code. It doesn't even know. It doesn't access like any of the other parts of or any private parts of the wallet. So the entire private key is basically sandboxed in environment. For example, we use Privy, so that's completely in previous servers like in a TE and so on. So I think like AI agents just need access to your wallet that they should be able to initiate a transaction. And that also like of course like if any AI agents malfunctions or misfires, it can basically drain your wallet because you can just transfer to some random wallet. So I think like there needs to be like sufficient guardrails for that, where you can put like let's say don't transact like anything above $100 without the permission of a human, or if you're directly transferring to a unwhitelisted wallet address, you can't proceed that without any confirmation and so on. So I think like human in the loop is very essential in the initial
Mhm.
days, and you can't give access of private keys at all. The entire private keys needs to be sandboxed in a environment, and even the deployments of AI agents needs to be sandboxed. By sandboxing, I mean just deploying on a secure environment. So then that's very important because AI agents can malfunction and they still hallucinate a bit, and they'll always be probabilistic in nature. Like LLMs are by design probabilistic. I think like that's what make LLMs even like much more special. So I think yeah, you need to ensure that all the security and privacy is like ensured outside of the LLM access, and that they are completely deterministic in nature, and you do proper sandboxing and so on.
Okay, I think that makes a lot of sense. And like for viewers, these are going to be like the types of questions that they're asking, right? It's like, okay, like I'm ready to give an agent that I'm using to, interact and do commerce and have access to my wallet on my behalf. Like, what are the checks and balances, right? To make sure that it's not spending too much money or sending money to the wrong wallet. And like you said, creating the proper sandboxes and setting, because if you set the correct rules, it won't break your rules. But there is still potential for human error where you've set rules and not thought of certain situations that would then cause an issue to arise.
Yeah, definitely. I think like that will come from stress testing the system as much as you can. For example, like putting all the specific rules and guardrails in place. So I would say like yeah, that's with like any other application in the world that if you don't put efficient guardrails, like yeah, you would be prone to all the attacks.
Okay. Um, Yash, in your opinion, what are some early use cases for this autonomous commerce that is going to be happening in the near future? And I'm going to task you with thinking for a very general user, which would be like me, for instance. How is a regular person going to be using this in the near future?
Yeah, I think like we can take an example of OpenClaw itself here. So like a lot of people have been using OpenClaw for different stuff, like for example, automating the emails. I think like emails is one particular use case which everyone resonates because we
Mhm.
all like interact a lot with emails. So filtering out all the emails, like that can be one use case. Then like sending emails on your behalf, that can be another use case. And let's say if we have to speak specifically about crypto, then I think like trading definitely comes as the first use case here. That like let's say if you want to automate any sorts of like perp trading strategy, or even like let's say meme coin strategies and so on, where you want to watch different validators, and if agents detect any activities, they should be able to ape while you sleep. So like that's like a very basic use case. And then outside like even outside of non crypto, outside of crypto, like I think a very good use case would be like just scanning through Twitter on what's happening and what's not. So I think like everyone, all of us like keep scanning CT, and with CT like a lot of noise comes up. So I recently like also like white coded a X research skill, so which was basically like scanning all the CT accounts and seeing like what's happening in CT, and just it tells me every day what has been in the discussions, what are the hot narratives and so on. So I think like you can automate all sorts of different tasks which you do daily, And the best part is that you can receive all of that via Telegram itself, so you don't have to do any fancy setups or anything. Once you like just like have built a setup, I think like you can keep getting notifications from Telegram, and you can also ask the agent itself from the Telegram itself. So I think like this is what people have been doing with OpenClaw, where they have set up different automations, and whenever they have any query, they just like ping to their Telegram bot, and it tells them what's happening on the different things like emails or across their Slacks, or even like if they have connected Airtable and so on. So I think like a lot of people are automating a lot of backend processes, and also like scanning and researching and so on. So I think like all these things can be automated. Just like step one, I would say. Then the another step would be like if we move towards fully autonomous agents, then it won't even like ask for your permission, or you won't have to prompt it or anything. Like it will keep executing things, and it will be very proactive in nature, where it will recommend you some actions based on whatever is going on with your like different accesses which you have given, for example Slack or email and so on. It will keep recommending you, I'm doing this task, shall I do or not? And then you just say that, okay, do that task for me, and it will complete the entire task and come back to you. So I think like that would be like a fully autonomous future, but I would say we are still a bit far away from that, and agents still hallucinate end-to-end tasks, but at least middle to middle they are able to do pretty well.
Got it. So Yash, how do you think that traditional SaaS platforms will need to adapt as, agents are directly able to access protocols and are now transacting peer to peer? Does the traditional SaaS world sort of collapse, or is there an adaptation you think is possible to make them all stay relevant?
Yeah, I think I would say like a lot of people have been saying that AI will make SaaS dead. But from our personal experience, like we are still subscribing to more than 25 plus SaaS subscription in our project. And I say like everyone is still subscribing to SaaS. And like I also like asked one of my engineers that why are you still subscribing to so many SaaS? Like we can just like wipe code a lot of things. For example, we have one SaaS subscription where we are just storing all the environment variables or the env keys of different accesses, and that can be entirely wipe coded. But the answer which I got was that we can wipe code, but maintaining is a very huge hassle. And how do you maintain
Mhm.
all the different stuff, all the updates which are coming and so on? So I think like everyone can wipe code very easily, or like even like basically not even I would say wipe code, but agentic engineer any sorts of automations very easily. But on a scale, like you would also need to maintain it. And for a single team or a single person, you can't maintain like let's say 50 different apps by yourself. You would need like different teams to do it. So I would say SaaS won't be dead. SaaS would just evolve, and obviously like all the low quality SaaS would be dead. And I would say even something like Microsoft or bigger players, they're still becoming more and more bigger, because a lot of people still trust them for something that if something is by Microsoft, or even if something is by Amazon or Google, they people can trust them blindly. So I think like trust would be a very important factor even for SaaS. That if you're trusting a particular SaaS platform, you won't mind paying $50 or $100 a month, and you would be happy paying that because you don't want the hassle of maintaining it. So I would say creation is becoming much more easier, but maintaining is still a hassle because you have to cover all the edge cases, ensure all the updates are being done in time and so on. So I think like maybe in 2 or 3 years, like SaaS might completely transform, and like a lot of SaaS would be dead. But I would say SaaS would grow from here on, and they would just like transform lot and lot, because now they are able to serve customers much more better, because AI is enabling them to automate a lot of their workflows, and also serve the same SaaS experience in a much better way, where there's an AI agent orchestrating the same task for you much better. So I would say SaaS as a category would keep growing. It's just that yeah, it would keep transforming a lot in the upcoming years.
Gosh, I love that answer because it's felt very doom and gloom with a lot of this. It's like, wow, this is going to crush like 90% of like tech startups. And I tend to agree with you on like the more positive side. That if anything, it's just more tools for these, SaaS platforms and new companies that are launching to just be that much more improved. Because yeah, I agree. I definitely agree. I don't know if you saw on the news, it was yesterday. I believe it was a Claude code launch that was like scanning code in real time.
Yeah.
And it's like, and there was like a $60 billion drop off in a lot of like cybersecurity like stocks, and I was like, I think that's an overreaction. You seem to agree.
Yeah, I think like, but that update is pretty great. Like we also ran that across our code bases, so that was pretty great because that we also found some small vulnerabilities, like which were not very major but very minor ones, like which got which got scanned due to that. So I think like that type of updates will continue pushing like a lot of very good firms to even much better firms. For example, I think all the top security firms would upgrade a lot using AI or using even like something like Claude directly. So I think like and whatever relationships they have built, I think like that enables them to serve more, even more customers or those customers only in a better way. So I would say it's not bearish for the existing firms. It's just that the lower tier firms would be dead. So I think like AI generally eats up all the mediocre and the lower tier firms. All the high tier firms or tier one firms, I think AI just keeps making them stronger and stronger. So I think like that's a bit scary part that early stage startups have a very difficult chance and all of that. But I'd say like if you are a very good early stage startup, you definitely have much more leverage now. So I would say AI is generally 10x leverage on everything. That if you are making a loss, you continue making more losses. But if you are making profit, you continue making 10x more profits. So I think like a simple answer would be just a leverage.
Yeah, and I tend to agree. There's going to be a little bit of both happening, but if you have a niche market, right, and you have a customer base, or you're starting to have a customer base, um, these tools just make you better and unlock more for, for your customers that way. I don't think our peers are like very bleeding edge, right? So it's like the people that we interact with every day are willing to just use one of these new tools day one. Where you got to remember that most companies need more of that trust factor that you were talking about earlier, where it's like if they have a partner that they like working with, they're still going to rely on that partner to be auditing them, for instance, as versus saying like, oh no, we'll just do it ourselves now.
Yeah. Yeah, I think relationships would matter even more in the age of AI. So yeah.
For sure. Um, Speaking of trust, if an AI agent makes a financial mistake or, God forbid, commits fraud, which will happen in the future, right? In some ways, do you personally believe, and then what you think will actually happen, where the responsibility sits? Is it human responsibility, or is it whoever created the agent or whoever owns the protocol? Like, I'd love to hear your feedback on that.
Yeah, I think definitely it's the mistake of a human because LLMs are in general like work on a set of prompts or a set of harnesses, and those harnesses are set by humans. So I would say like right now, like a human is completely responsible for the agents. And even if let's say like a lot of people come to me and say that AI is pretty bad, AI is pretty sloppy, but I always say that it's basically a prompts and skills issue. So with Claude also introducing a protocol called skills where you can give like context to an LLM on the fly. I think like if you are giving very good context and prompt to a LLM, it would perform an action pretty well. So I would say at the end, it's all mistake of a human. If they are not able to extract a good task from AI, it's their mistake where they're not spending enough time and efforts. And I would say a best thing here would be just like treat AI like a human or a junior engineer or a junior employee of your company. That if you tell them or guide them pretty well, AI would be able to give you a good output. But it's not a magic where it would be able to do your entire job by itself. You will have to make sure that you're guiding it well. You're talking to it just like a human. That you also have to talk with an empathy to AI. I would say like if you talk to it well, just like you would talk to a human, you would get like much better results. Otherwise, talking to it just like a machine. So I would say just treat it like a human, and if a junior of yours makes a mistake, it's also your mistake at the end of the day that you didn't do a good oversight or you didn't supervise him well or guide him or her well. So I would say at then yeah, it's all up to humans. If AI agents make a mistake, unless they become hugely autonomous and you have just like told it a street prompt and then it's acting everything on its own, then like it might do some actions which are not controlled by you, but then you have like someone has to put the seed prompts. I would say so. I think like seed whosoever is putting the seed prompt is at fault. So I would say like yeah, humans are at the fault whenever AI agents also make mistake.
That's probably the best metaphor or example I've heard so far, being like it's like if a junior engineer that worked for you made a mistake. I think that really creates a lot of clarity and clears it up quite a bit. So I appreciate that because I'm going to steal that and use that example in the future. I hope you don't mind.
Yeah, definitely.
Um, what do you think the current bottlenecks are that are stopping, like what's the reason that everything is not automated commerce right now? What are the bottlenecks in the way that need to be solved before, millions of agents are interacting with each other all day, every day?
Yeah, I think in general, as a humans we kind of overestimate always short term. So I think like again, like people overestimated short term that okay, like agent will automate everything around me or everything entire automate my entire job and life. I would say like they're still very far away from it. Of course, like whenever you see some like something working at a MVP level, you become very excited. So I think like have become very excited by seeing the MVP level that okay, like AI can do everything for me. But I would say you have to make sure that you are guiding AI well and engineering at different aspects. As a human being, like we are very complex in nature, that we have so many tasks, we have so many things to orchestrate and so on. So even to make sure that AI agent is able to do 10 or 20% of your task or 30% of your task, we'll have to make sure that you are engineering it very well, that it's able to understand exact context. So I would say like the entire bottleneck right now is of context. If you give AI enough context, that you give it access to your entire, let's say, bank accounts, your entire Gmail accounts and everything, then AI would be able to gather context from all the read and write access and do a lot of things for you. But of course, like that's a security nightmare. So not a lot of people want to do that, and that's also not recommended. So I would say the entire bottleneck is context. And once we solve the context part elegantly and we keep giving AI like good context and model also keeps becoming better every 6 months, I would say like we would be seeing like a lot of people automate a lot of the things. But it's not like it has taken all our jobs or it is automating all of our things. We would eventually take up like some other task. So I would say our task would keep increasing and increasing. It's just like AI is doing all the boring stuff for us. So I would say, yeah, as a human, like we would be more and more creative. But I don't think like AI agent would be able to automate a lot of our jobs or tasks like in the near future. Maybe in like 3 or 4 years, they are able to automate everything for us. But for now, I think it's kind of a leverage on every task that we are doing, that we are now able to do it much faster. And something which took like let's say 10 hours 2 years ago is now taking less than 1 hours now. But it's not like that task is completely vanished. We still need to supervise and make sure that it's as per our taste and preferences. So I think like that's the common bottleneck on like how do we ingest taste and context to AI. I think like that's still not a solved problem.
Yeah, and like you said, 3 to 4 years from now is when you're predicting that a lot more of these tasks, will be automated. Where do you see Send AI existing within that?
Yeah, so we have been like hyper focused on crypto here. That how can we like enable or automate a lot of complex financial actions for people. So I would say like AI is really good in orchestrating different actions. For example, let's say if you want to if you want to bet on Sol going up for the next 3 months, but you don't know like which protocols to use or what are the different financial instruments to tap into. So here AI will ask you some set of questions like what's the time horizon, what's the exact price action that you're trying to predict, and so on. And then it can scan across all different protocols and combine 4 or 5 protocols. Let's say it combines something like a LP on Meteora along with let's say staking of some sold to a validator, and then like it's also pulling up put options from different protocols and so on, and then it combines you into a complex financial instrument with different payoff diagrams. So then that can be very exciting using AI, where as a human you just have to have a conviction or an idea or an intent, and AI is able to orchestrate all the things which you have to manually go into 10 different websites, connect wallet, and click on 10 different buttons and do that action. And that can be simply like set of question and answers for you, and then you finally just enter the amount, and that's done. So I would say like that's the future that we are building for, and that was like a simple one-time action. Even like something like let's say if you want to run a complex bot, you should be able to do that. And AI is able to become like very good at code generation, so it's able to generate any sorts of scripts or automations for you on the fly. So you can automate like let's say lending USDC across all different protocols, be it on Solana, be it on any other chain, and AI is able to orchestrate that for you if it has access to all the tools. So that's why we always call ourselves as the tooling layer for AI agents. And of course, like we are focusing on crypto right now. Maybe like in future we also expand beyond crypto to other sorts of financial instruments. But we believe that everything would be eventually converging to crypto in some form or the other. So that's why like yeah, we are becoming this tooling layer for AI agents where you provide all the tooling access to AI agents. The basic thing is of course a wallet, and then like all the protocol access, in future also smart contract access. For example, we are also building like a dynamic indexer that's able to index anything from Solana blockchain itself on the fly. So it can listen to any events and create the scripts for listening any sorts of events on Solana. So you would be just like via just one prompt, you can also code a sniper bot using just a prompt, because AI would be able to generate and write the entire script for doing a sniping transaction. So those are the things that we are really excited about. That how can you make sure that blockchains become more and more AI friendly, and in a way like it also solves a user problem where a user is able to express an intent, and it's able to serve that using like different protocols and the tools which AI has access to. So that's how like we envision everything at Sendai AI, and our entire thesis that financial instruments should be generative on the fly because they are code at the end of the day, and that's why like we say that yeah, we are building towards generative financial instruments.
Thank you, Yash. As we start to wrap things up here, two things. One, is there anything specifically that we may have missed that you want the audience to know about Sendai AI? And two, for the now very curious audience, where can they follow yourself, follow Sendai AI, and learn more about what you guys are building in real time?
Yeah. So first of all, about Sendai, I think like we have been very quiet for the last 6 7 months. Of course, like we made a lot of noise during when we were hosting the Solana AI hackathon, Solana Agent Kit, and then we also did a lot of stuff around Solana MCPs and so on. But yeah, in the last 6 months, like we have been hyper focused on building this platform, which will be slowly rolling out access. We already rolled out access to some sort of closed users, and we have already done more than $2 million in volume so far. So yeah, like our entire focus for the next 6 months is that rolling out access to different platforms. And it's an omni-distribution platform. Basically, you can access it from Telegram, you can access it from Cloud Code, Codex, or even web and mobile. So we're also building a mobile app as well, so that like it's very accessible for any sorts of users. So yeah, like we have been hyper focused on building this whole infrastructure from the last 6 7 months, and this would be omni distribution. So that's how like we want to serve all the users. And before this, like we were very much focused on open source stuff or building all the open source toolkits, but now we are going more towards the interface level where we are able to serve the entire user base and also control the whole UX end to end. So that's been our focus. And of course, like anyone can follow us on our journey via my Twitter. Like yeah, I'm Yash at Twitter, and then like Sendai for Sendai. So yeah, we have been fairly active on Twitter, and we'll keep posting about different updates which we'll be doing. And of course, like we'll keep doing like all the open source public stuff. For example, recently we also built SolanaSkills.com, which is a way for anyone to discover any skills on Solana. So that also like is yet to be released, but I think like will be released by the time this podcast goes out. So yeah, we'll be keep doing like all the open source public goods on Solana, but at the same time we have been hyper focused on building this platform where we would be able to serve any sorts of users who have any of their trading needs or any sorts of financial needs. Like we want to serve them using different distribution channels like yeah, terminal, web, mobile, and so on.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Yash. We're happy to have you and really appreciate you taking the time.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, it was great chatting with you, and yeah, hopefully someone gets something out of it.
Yeah. Cheers. I know that our audience will. Thank you so much, Yash.